Hey everyone, Kevin Lewis here with Home Life Benchmark Titus. It's November and that means it's time for another monthly market update. October's come and gone and it was quite a unique month when you look at the statistics of the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. For the first time in recorded history for the last 10 years, it may be different prior to that, but I suspect it's not. October has been the highest number of sales compared to the rest of the year. This has never happened before. And it kind of makes sense if you've been paying attention to what's been happening in our market. There have been several factors over the last year and a half, 2 years really, that have been contributing to prices coming down and the market overall slowing down. The main reason that I still say is the fact that prices just went up so high so quickly over the last 3-4 years that the market needed to take a breather, needed to slow down, prices needed to come back to where they should be, and sales were just getting out of hand for a while there. So what we've seen in the last year and a half is, in my opinion, a lot of the reflection of the previous boom we had in the market just slowing down, sort of a balance, yin-yang sort of thing happening there. What goes up must come down, so to speak. So I think we've kind of reached close to the bottom of where the market will be. Wouldn't be surprised if we see things dip a little bit over the next couple months in the winter time here, only to pick up again in spring 2020. Because the prices had started coming down, I think we had a lot of would-be buyers whole push the brakes kind of thing and a little bit hesitant over the last year to make a purchase happen. This has caused a backlog of buyers who have now decided to come out of the woodwork in the last month and a half here, starting in September. Well, I guess starting in August, considering August was closer to the 10-year average than the rest of the year has been prior. We started seeing some buyers coming out of the woodwork. This is partly due to sellers finally realizing that the prices today are not what they were 2 years ago. And it's also a reflection of people getting used to the stress test. Of course, interest rates have come down as well, which is a huge factor in things, not to mention in the stress test, because now qualifying for the stress test is that much easier. Now that interest rates are a little over 0.5% below where they were a year and a half, 2 years ago. That makes a big difference in buying power. Now that the election's over, it doesn't look as if the stress test is going to be going anywhere, considering it was the federal government that put it in the first place, and they're still in there. So I would suspect for the next 4 years at least, that stress test is just going to be commonplace. It seems that buyers are starting to understand this, and while we all hope that it was going away so that some buyers who really can afford more than what the stress test says they can afford could get into the home they want to, it's starting to just be, it is what it is. We've got to have to deal with it, because sitting and hoping is not going to make anything change in the long run. And if the market does go up in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, which I suspect it would be about 3 years from now, we'll see another jump in the market. You don't want to be sitting there waiting for the stress test to go away and all of a sudden price yourself out of the market even more. So we're starting to see a lot of these buyers come back and make these purchases happen. And with the last year and a half of nobody, or not, shouldn't say nobody, but a lot less activity happening, we've seen those buyers have that pent-up demand, and everybody's decided to come out and purchase at once, while we haven't necessarily had the number of listings to support the new recent trend of the higher activity of sales. With all the recent sales in October 2019, and September for that matter, and the lack of new listings coming out, which I shouldn't really say lack of new listings, the new listings are quite average for this time of year, where we generally see fewer listings come out and fewer buyers. Of course, spring is the busiest time, but because we've had fewer listings and more sales, we've got a sales to active ratio of 26% on average, which is quite uncommon for what we would call a more normal market that we've been in, meaning that anything above 20% is considered to be a seller's market. So we've gone back from a balanced market to a seller's market, where things have really felt recently more like a buyer's market. But despite the fact that it feels like a buyer's market, we have to remember that we're comparing to what was the biggest seller's market in our local areas history, really. So when we were comparing a 100% sales ratio 2 years ago to 26% now, it feels much less, and of course it is much less. However, we are still in that seller's market. I do suspect going forward for November and December, and January, February for that matter, we will likely be back towards that balanced market. But if we don't see the new listings come out that should be coming out on average for those next couple months, maybe we will continue to stay in that seller's market, so to speak. Now, the seller's market's not going to be like the other seller markets before, where we're going to see prices skyrocket and multiple offers on every listing that comes up. That's not happening, so don't sweat that. I suspect that based on the fact that we are in a seller's market, I think we are going to see homes continue to sell at a decent clip when they get listed and marketed properly. But I think we're going to see those buyers slow down, and even if we did see the buyers continue to buying at the pace that they are, I don't suspect we're going to see a big jump in price over the next couple months, over the next couple years for that matter, just because we are closer to that balanced market. And the buyers, like I say, I think have been coming out a lot due to pent-up demand because everybody was holding off for such a long time. The prices in the market came down about 4% year to year on the HPI average price, which takes into account ignoring basically age and location of homes and just considering similar home types compared to each other. We came down roughly 4% over the last year. Now you have to realize that prices started coming down in July 2018, So they're not 4% from their peak, they're 4% from a year ago in October 2018. On a month-to-month comparison, however, prices pretty much stayed exactly where they were for September 2019, with townhouses and houses going a little bit opposite directions, but we're talking decimals of a percentage here. Pretty well negligible when you look at the big picture of things, considering that not every single house is going to be the exact same, and nothing with this is an exact science. There's a lot of factors involved in pricing your home. So generally speaking, your home's going to be worth the same today as it would have been a month ago, 2 months ago, give or take a little bit depending on your specific neighborhood. And I suspect that will stay the same for the next couple months based on the demand and whatnot. If you are looking to buy, the next couple months may be a good time. If you can find a home that has some terrible pictures or is just marketed poorly, you're not going to have a lot of buyers going to that home. Might be a great opportunity to sneak in there, get a deal on a place when there's fewer buyers looking. Of course, springtime comes around, that's when most of the buyers generally come out, and your competition is going to be that much greater. Now, on the counter to that, if you are looking to sell, because of the lack of inventory that we're starting to see from the recent sales, I think the next couple of months could also be a great time to sell your house for a great price if your home is marketed correctly. The key, of course, is marketed correctly there and getting the right agent on your side to represent you and to market your home with professional photos, floor plans, and whatnot, and get it out there to the masses so that buyers can see your home and see what you have to offer rather than just getting lost in the MLS. I've said it before, and I've said it quite a few times even today, I think we are headed towards a normal real estate market for the next several years. And I think this is a great thing because it creates balance and it creates opportunity for buyers and sellers alike to make a move happen with a whole lot stress than you would have had buying or selling 2-3 years ago kind of thing. Let me know if you have any questions specific to you. If you have specific questions, of course, a phone call or an email is the easiest. If you have general questions about the market, however, by all means, feel free to comment below. Let me know what your questions are and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Thanks for tuning in for your November 2019 Fraser Valley Market Update. I look forward to hearing from you soon.